Shalom, shalom. I hope there aren't too many folks that caught that little cough in the beginning. But yeah, thank you for joining us. I am Keats Ross. I'm here with Frater Perseus, and we are here to celebrate not only We the Hallowed, but the autumnal tides that are upon us in this autumnal equinox at our fourth, I guess not annual because we already had a 2024 HAUNTQUINOX, but the first, let's say, premiere of the autumnal HAUNTQUINOX. Thanks for joining me, Frater Perseus. Oh, you're muted, but I got you. There you go.
Glad to be here. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, no, we by hell or high water we got here. Of course, did not sleep last night. All day I've been running around doing various things, not just for this, but a lot for tonight because it was kind of last minute, but it was one of those because of what we have planned, especially in regards to We the Hallowed, in regards to our future prospects creatively. It would have been so silly to miss the opportunity to launch and premiere on the autumnal equinox. As We the Hallowed started 10 years ago in August. So we are already 10 years old now, which is crazy to think about.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Allie says, cheers, have you on the background while painting. Well, thank you for joining us, Allie. Yeah, we're really excited to discuss this madcap, ramshackle, freaking, I don't even, trajectory, let's just say, of the somatic aeon. Something we've been planning behind the scenes for a while. Something that, somebody like me with a, I would say, poor business acumen had to really like go in and fine tune and nestle and wrestle with. But we have a lot to reveal today, and I'm really excited about that. Plus, Frater Perseus at some point is gonna give us a rundown on some celestial elections for the rest of the year. Um, and yeah, and it's kind of shooting from the hip as always. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a We the Hallowed or a Prag Magic affair. I have a brand new camera. I was just telling Leo, it was literally ran to the seat to get started here because the adapter I needed for the brand new camera was supposed to come yesterday. Canceled it, ordered it again. Said it was coming earlier today. Did not. Crossed my fingers. Was going to use the old webcam if I had to. And it showed up exactly 20 minutes before we were starting. So, hallelujah.
Wow, wild.
But you were just mentioning that, yeah, today has been synchronous. Were you speaking anecdotally, or was that from a like celestial point of view?
Yeah, I am speaking anecdotally. One thing was that the 50 Years of Ghost Stories book I sent you that I found
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah,
Facebook. That was
yeah.
wild because you've been using that for, all the different graphics and things for Prague for a while.
Hmm.
So I thought that was pretty insane.
No, that was crazy. And the Thomas Sheridan hauntology, we both we never discussed it with each other, but we both were on that trip kind of parallel. And you said you were listening to him when that came up. And if, for folks that don't know, one of the pragmatic icons or images that I use is from a very tattered old book of ghost stories that I had never seen in the wild until Mary, I think, brought it home. And it's just such a beautiful book. And it's sitting adorned with a bunch of things right now. But I kind of hauntologically, fashion forwarded that image to basically help represent hauntomancy and the like hauntology of the self magic, and that's kind of been an emblem that I've used. And Leo today was listening about hauntology from someone that I know and have spoken with on the program, Thomas Sheridan, and scrolling through Facebook and found that book where I got it from. Um, on Facebook, right? Yeah, which is it's super synchronous because it's such a rare book. It is such a rare book.
Yeah, it was in
Yeah.
some horror occult paperback thing, even though it's a hardback, and
Mhm.
it was just interesting, really, to see that. And then I thought today too was just kind of, I don't know, a couple of my lessons got canceled, which was doesn't usually happen on a day like today. It's been the first cloudy day in weeks here in Illinois, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And then it's just all the different planetary changes, which we'll get into, but it's just so many different energies are happening. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to see what you have in store for what the stars have in store, I should say, because it's been an interesting turn of events just in the past 6 months or so. So I hope it kind of falls into place and allows those of us to work through the winter, as it were.
yeah, totally.
Yeah. But yeah, the big thing we're gonna do tonight, there'll probably be people coming in and out. Um, I sent the link to fellow haunts of We The Hallowed. I've sent it to, friends and stuff. I'm pretty sure I don't want to name them and then guilt trip them if they don't come. But so yeah, it'll be kind of an open thing towards the middle or end. But the main objectives here tonight are to go over our big new relaunch, I guess you could call it, even though I'm reticent to treat We The Hallowed in any kind of corporate speak, or like marketing thing. It's mainly an initiative to charge Somatick media. Um, After years and years, or I mean, even a decade of toiling with internet publishing and internet or digital releases of albums and books and writing and all of that. And I know you, me, and Eric Millar, who unfortunately couldn't be here, but is competing in a paint fight tonight in Portland. So everybody send him your magics. We'll know he'll do great. He's amazing, and I'm excited for him that he went and did that. He sent me a picture, and it looked like a Lynchian like dream from his psyche. It was like a stark stage with a bunch of white canvases on it. I was like,
Hmm.
that's like album cover material. But
Wow.
anyways, we had been talking for a long time about our just utter distaste and dissatisfaction with, I guess, how communication at large is being undergone, whether it's through broadcasting or even through art, especially in this digital age. And it's becoming more and more important that we interact kind of somatically and tactile with what we create, whether it's like actually performing the instruments on the albums, or it's handwriting, hand drawing, or these little what now seem arcane movements are largely being left in the lurch, or subsidized for like niche market kind of things. And our kind of punk hearts, as it were, growing up with zines and 4-track and cassettes and all of that, it just made so much sense to me that We The Hallowed branch into sort of a uh, physical media publishing house outside of just the books and outside of the like you know micro release album or something. um, and so yeah, we planned and I think coordinated a good strategy to create handcrafted, highly individualized physical media, and to really charge the currents interpersonally between people who I don't want to say audience, but like the agent and receiver of like works of art, that isn't through the even metaphysical compression of like streaming platforms and you know, just the tundras and tundras of digital detritus, and kind of going back to our roots with, you know, the real intentional, real intentful, ritualistic production process of, you know, capturing and yeah, almost like capturing, ghost trapping the specter of the art, and then giving it to you, put in your hands to do as you wish. And so we have some really cool projects in store, and many different mediums to do so. But I don't know if that cleared up any. Obviously, we'll go through it all. Maybe I'm getting too ahead of myself, but is there anything you wanted to add before we launch into, you know, this big somatic aeon that we're gonna embark on?
It's a very interesting how do you say endeavor, because so many things are fed to us now through the digital that it's I don't want to say inconvenience, but what I do want to say is kind of that it can be uh, grounding grounding to really bring you back into physical contact with things. I love books. I mean, you know, I get a lot of digital books just because you can't find them anymore. But if I could find them, I'd buy them because I'd rather have the thing in my hands. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not somebody who takes notes or anything, but you know, just I have had a 4 track since I was a little kid because my aunt and uncle gave me one, and I recorded my first music on that. So the fact that I went and dug in my garage and found it because you want to do cassettes and things now is kind of
Mm-hmm.
like got me into the whole thing. So I think there's so many cool avenues and opportunities we can uh, utilize in this to get things out there. And I was watching a thing on cassettes the other day, actually, where it was like in this age of mass censorship, in this age of mass control of information, that cassettes could be, they were referring to those specifically, but physical media in general that you publish yourself can actually be the actual new bastion of free speech. And I thought that was a
Yeah.
really cool way to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I love is it kind of puts the power, and we'll talk about that because one of my tenets for this, especially with the cassette tapes or media that can be digitized, I'm leaving that responsibility up to the receiver. You know, I'm not going to say don't digitize these things, but you know, I won't digitize them unless it's, you know, purposely supposed to, or requested for some reason or another. But largely, these artifacts, these talismanic things, are literally physical devices of magnetic, you know, tape and tussles that are capturing my space and then putting them in your space. You know, like literally physically. And like I was thinking today, the, you know, the issues that might come up with that, and like how maybe you know, I've been releasing music since I was 14 years old on mp3.com. I've been, you know, recording 4 tracks, and I got into digital recording early on. And so, like, my entire genealogy, my voice changed, you know, through the listenership of anybody who would want to hear it, you know. Like, all my shit has been out there forever. And I found like there's a weird, I had like a weird reaction about, you know, the possibility of these things being lost forever, or like not digitized, not captured, not put on YouTube. And it felt like a reactive, kind of ingrained avarice about that process. And I think it was kind of a beast that I was able to name and understand after investigating what that reaction was like. That, wow, we have all become so fucking flippant with art. We've become so fucking flippant, and just absolutely I don't know how else to say it. Flippant's kind of the perfect word. Uh, there's no accountability for a lot of the, even the listenership side, or the, you know, the readership side of this whole digital art process, and blasting it on the internet and getting accustomed to that as it just kind of floats out there into the void of nothingness is almost like a eerily scarier prospect than a tape never being discovered, or long and lost. The fact that it's almost kind of forever digitally, like no matter what, is an eerily creepy thing to me. And so I get why there's a lot of the, I get like the free speech thing, but I get like this whole bastion of, we need this, we need these things to expire in a way. We need these like things to kind of, or there needs to be an outlet for that. There needs to be some detritus that we can charge and put out there and not feel like it's gonna chase us for the rest of our days in a way, or like it's not gonna shape like the ghost of us if people down the line hear it. Like there is a freedom to just me recording on the 4-track and then sending it to somebody, and then like never digitizing it, never sharing it with anybody else. And I think that to me is far more part of the human experience than a kind of like capture device that never lets go, like in the digital age. But
Yeah.
yeah,
They say the internet's forever, and I guess that is kind of terrifying when
it
you don't
is,
want it to be
right?
forever.
Yeah. But yeah, oh cool, good to see Jenny. What's up, Jenny from the block? Jenny from the
Yo,
Blockwell.
Rocky.
Samalam. Oh yeah. Sorry, real quick. She said this. It's the acronym for. It was something funny. It was really good, but it's a extrasensory. Yeah, the United Extrasensory Perception Service, like the United States Postal Service, but that's kind of
Nice.
what we'll be doing with Somatick Media. Is this United Extrasensory Perception Service?
I like
Which
that.
is,
That's clever.
yeah, it's beautiful. Sam Lamb, the field is oversaturated and people like Muskrat have ruined the algorithm. Literally everyone I know is feeling this. Yeah, I mean, I feel like a madman. I've been barking about it for, years and years. 5 years ago, I took most of my albums off of Spotify and streaming platforms, and I just wanted a little more control with how they were being kind of delivered to people in a way. Everything from the compression to the, like the sonic mutilation, the homogenization of how people are imbibing media through specific, platforms and applications. Like now there's algorithms. Like it was never a winning battle, and I'm actually thankful for it because there's something so brutally fulfilling about going this route, and I don't understand why we haven't done this sooner, honestly. Yeah, grassroots groups and sending stuff in the mail is what will keep music scenes alive. Amen.
Yeah.
And I think with that we should launch in. So as a hurried and ramshackle brained person that had many objectives to do last night, a lot of which was filming oriented and other kind of artistic sides to this, I decided out of nowhere that I was going to create a slideshow to help guide us through this discussion. It didn't take that long, but it's part and parcel for me to just create another, kind of major task to do last minute. So, but I'm happy I did it. I'm happy I wasted some footage filming me going over it with the camcorder. I had this whole idea for a video, which I still might do, so I won't say it all. But I'm glad I took the time to do this. It'll help us guide. And if anyone in the audience has any questions, I'd love to hear them. I know Leo would too. We are shooting from the hip on a lot of this. I mean, we're about to tackle not only like a high frequency subscription service of physical media, but the shipping, the the business aspects of it and all of that. So we're still really trying to keep our ear to the ground about what is doable for people, what is affordable, what is interesting. So please let us know in the chat if anything barks out at you, and we'll kind of just get started with this. So yes, we are at the HAUNTQUINOX. Welcome to the HAUNTQUINOX. Should I do that? No, I'll keep us in there. Exit full screen layout. Okay. See if I can do this. Boom. So, We The Hallowed Press has always been a thing. Well, I should say for the half-life of We The Hallowed. Eric Millar and I started We The Hallowed Press. We started really putting out books, like his Disruption Generator was, I think, the first official We The Hallowed Press release. And I think the last one was Divergent Magic Grimoire. And all of the Eric books in between, or a lot of them, have been. So we've had this pedigree of self-publishing, right? Or like the vernacular, I wouldn't say pedigree, but we really have gotten the reins down of independent publishing as far as print on demand and that sort of thing, and found there's a lot of things we don't like about that as well. And that's just one medium of this major thing that we do, whether it's the big audio sigils or like the quote unquote record label part of it. And so We The Hallowed Press was always aiming to kind of go into a kind of in-house kind of production space for all of the mediums of which we toil with. And yeah, I think the other thing to say is actually this isn't the first actual pressing. It was the zine in 2015, the We The Hallowed zine, which you can find on Amazon. We The Hallowed started in the printmaking, hand making zines, and I was really proud of the design of the zine. We sewed the spine, very grassroots. It was back when we had salons monthly and variety shows, and I keep coming back, especially here we are 10 years later, that there's so much of that I would love to bring forward here, knowing what we know now. And like, I think we have, the opportunity to do so, to get back into, printing and small press and all of that. So, but this is what our aim is for the Somatick media thing in We The Hallowed. It's handcrafted, individualized, physical media, but a subscription service. And I think this is the one odd part of it, because you'd be like, yeah, you make tapes, just sell them on Bandcamp. You make so and so, just make a bunch of them and sell them online. Well, the deal is, because we have such high potency of like output, I should say, that there's a real opportunity to hyper individualize releases and mixtapes and audio sigils and zines and chapbooks. And we found that a subscription type service, like through Patreon, I honestly didn't rehearse this. I didn't know that was coming. But through through Patreon is where we're deciding to go, since we already kind of have Patreon set up. And so the physical media will come through certain tiers. And this isn't like anything wild or new. But I think like the breadth of what we want to do is a bit odd. And I think the style of which we're gonna do all these things is gonna be, I think the perfect word for it is like hyper individualized, seasonal even. Like no two tapes will be the same, even if the the majority of the art on the cassette tape is what is sent out to people. Everything's going to be hyper individualized down to, messages and the tape itself and writing and all of that. And we found, instead of doing this brash, let me make, 100 tapes and sell them piece by piece, we really wanted to have that like interactive, the communion, the like pen pally-ness of what that was like when we were younger, giving each other tapes. Yeah, Dakota Slim started because I was too scared to say it was me when I gave a tape of Dakota Slim music to friends, and used that name. They all knew it was me because I had a terrible voice and I sounded like, a kid playing silly music. But I do miss that. I miss this like mystere and this the beauty of trading. And I think a big part of this subscription service too is a lot of the media that we'll be printing and utilizing not only will be recycled in a way, but will have the possibility, if you have the gear, for you to take it and mutate it and pass it forward, send it back, sort of thing. So there is a cyclical kind of idea with a lot of this, at least with the tapes and the other stuff. But again, I digress. Leo, please stop me if I get ahead of myself. I obviously am not versed in the, PowerPoint.
Doing well
Yes.
to me, man. Keep going.
All right. So the first thing that we're going to do, the most feasible thing We The Hallowed is going to do as far as the Somatick media, is a printed newsletter. It'll be a fold-out, large sheet, fold-out newsletter, and it's going to be called The Haulers. As you can see, Eric Millar created this title with hand stamps, so it keeps with the ethos, so like everything is intentional even in its construction. And this will be a kind of a seasonal affair. And yeah, actually, I think here's a little taste of the cover of Eric's cover of the first ever Haulers newsletter from We The Hallowed. And so what we did with the Prag Magic Patreon is I created a new tier. So this first tier is the Haulers seasonal newsletter and micro publishing subscription. What I mean by micro publishing is stickers, handmade zines, chapbooks, that sort of thing. And the way we've kind of decided to help facilitate not only costs, shipping, frequency, as we are all, people with very heavy lives outside of, just this kind of aspect, was that it would keep it less, it wouldn't be too impactful on people monthly, and it wouldn't be too impactful on us for output if we did them in every 2 months. So basically, if you signed up today for the Haulers, on your second month when that goes through, you would get a Haulers. But it's not that you just get the Haulers after 2 months. You'll get stickers, you'll get other fun stuff. I'm already planning on sending a bunch of random folks who sign up a very special cassette tape. Other things like that. And also you get all of the Patreon stuff that's already there, which is a veritable shit ton of stuff that's already on Patreon, like full albums. And, we're going to keep doing somewhat of like the digital thing, whether it be Prag Magic or, Leo's podcast or, the broadcasting kind of parts of this art religion will kind of keep going. But, this will be kind of our main focus as far as getting things into people's hands. So the Haulers will be what we're aiming for first. As I said, the first tier will have, you'll get stickers. I'm really pushing forward the idea of kind of the pen pal, oeuvre through all of this. not only just handwritten notes that I'll have for each person I'm sending to, but generally getting back into trading intentional communication. And this is part and parcel with not only kind of maybe my divergent mindset and my inability to um, have a successful communication career through internet um, dialogue or through messaging or hyper messaging. And that's something that I know I'm personally yearning to get back into, is taking the time and poising, a response or a communication to somebody. Um, Too often that I can't read the intention of a message, or it's a reactive message from me, or there's just so much broken communication happening every day, and like what a fucking nightmare it is to look at a phone and have to reread something 800 times to see um, what somebody means by something they were just flippant about. And I'm just using that as kind of an anecdote about like I just miss the opening of a kind of cherished and poised communication such as a handwritten letter. So people that sign up for the hollers, you're gonna be my test subjects, at least from me. If Leo or Eric wanted to do that as well, I'd love that. But a kind of whisper network of pens would be paramount, I think, to all of this being successful. And there's nothing better. Well, there's a lot of things better, but to use the term or to use the saying, there is nothing better than coming home to a handwritten letter, and or to something from your friend, any kind of like treasure that you've been waiting for. So that's all keeping within that spirit. Again, Leo, stop me if I'm rambling.
No, no, I love it. I think you're really laying out the details, and this is good for me too, because I want to know what's going on in your head with some of this. We've talked about it, but I would like to know your deeper thoughts and intentions behind it. So it's good.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's why I composed these last night, was when I was thinking about creating just kind of a short form, like really artistic video, which I still will. Um, it was like, yeah, how am I going to relay like these intentions? It's not enough to say, you know, and it's not our intention really to say, fuck the internet, uh, fuck all these things. This is why we're doing it, because it's like we're not being reactive. We're being progressive in a way, even though it could be, I guess, considered a bit regressive because of the actual technology utilized. But I think this is a really like progressive and um, beneficial thing, not a defensive or reactive kind of you
Yeah,
know thing. And
yeah,
so
more
yeah, it just
proactive.
yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's just more proactive than reactive.
Proactive, yeah, progressive, proactive, yeah. I've been working with video all day, so interlaced and progressive are stewing in my head. Um,
So,
Jenny says, I just had a memory come back to me of a fella I met in Cuba in the 90s. We used to send cassette tape recordings of us talking to each other. It had a very anticipatory vibe. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm glad that you brought this up, because that's part and parcel to when we get to the cassettes. Just to finish up with the haulers, $5 a month. You'll get stickers, a bunch of various things, the Patreon and everything, but you can expect the newsletter to come to you after 2 months of being a patron. Um, and those that are already patrons, such as Jenny or Leo or anybody who's a part of Patreon already, can automatically expect a letter, um, a holler. Sorry, my brain farted for a bit. But yes, pre-existing patrons, you know, and this will keep coming up again, like you, depending on what you pledge or how long you've pledged, or, you know, I just want you to have it kind of thing. Like all of you will be kind of engulfed into this as well as all the things you're already utilizing it for. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Sweet. All right. Oh. Oh yeah. So here are some of the stickers. Just to give you an idea, I guess I could grab them, but they're in the other room. A picture will do. So these from, you know, kind of high quality decals that, you know, we're taking the time to design and cut ourselves, to literally home printed and designed stickers like that planchette on the right, the Pragmagic Divergent Magic planchette that now graces one of the acoustic guitars here because it is huge. So folks that are, you know, subscribe to the haulers or to any of these tiers, expect, you know, stickers such as these to come in the mail, but really get excited for all of the insanity I have planned for home sticker making and how big and absurd things can get, because it is fun. Uh, and yeah, we're basically printing everything, and I bought a binder, like a book binder. So for our chapbooks and our zines and stuff, um, I'll be printing everything from here that goes out from me. I know we discussed like Leo or Eric. You know, we're also going to facilitate printing our own in our communities. You know, whether it's
Yep.
Illinois or Oregon, and you know, dispersing them as we please. I've already talked to like the local cafe here about even putting up a box of tapes for folks and leaving newsletters around like we used to. And I
Yeah.
hate to say that because it sounds like old man yelling at cloud. Why don't we do that anymore? But they're like, why don't we? You know, why isn't there a lot of that going on? I know there's a lot of reasons, but I do miss that another cafe, another universe kind of aesthetic that I was reared in, you know. But yeah, so those are the stickers just to give you some ideas. Um, and here we get to what I'm calling the Hex Cassette Club, and I'll explain why it's a club. Jenny kind of already she ruined it. No, her anecdote is very much why I'm calling it a hex cassette, or I'm calling it a club. What you can see here are a couple of the many various ones that I've created over the past 2 weeks. Um, and actually, why don't I just show you? We'll go through what they are, but just to quickly show you what the printing is looking like. So yeah, so this is. I'll explain what Hauntomancer is soon. I guess my focus is a little weird. Let's see if I can fix it. Is that good? Yeah, it's all right. But yeah, so this is one of the Hauntomancer is basically the first ever analog um, uh, occult and art podcast, or Hauntomancy podcast. The episodes, if folks are familiar with, you know, my writing and haunt manual, I've already made recordings of me reading the chapters with the audiomancy in the background. Well, those were always meant to be, you know, compiled and released together with the book, but for the time being, I'm taking those episodes or those chapters and releasing them with the audiomancy on cassette. Um, of course, some of them need to be edited as such, and that's another fun thing about cassette tapes is that, you know, you're limited with time on a cassette tape. A lot of them are 90 minutes, so it just kind of keeps you abreast of getting too crazy with the cheese whiz. Yeah, here's another neither either or. This is one of my favorite ones, just to kind of stark. But as you can see, been experimenting. That first one was just kind of a quick try with the J card, but now I'm getting better with designing kind of a fold out. This isn't on the paper that I would send anybody. This is one of my tests. But as you can see, a lot of places to fill in some fun, magical talismanic writings and stuff. On the tape it says, "Haunt on. These magnetic mutant tones and tussles were all created in the dimming room of the Pacific Northwest by Revelator Raz of We The Hallowed. In your hands is a mighty hauntomancy talisman, handcrafted, designed, packaged, and ghosted atop of randomized cassettes from yesteryear as a means to recycle the magnetism and materials of then within the haunted signatures of the present." So, just kind of a little more poetic way of saying I'm gonna be using recycled tapes, but also communing with those recycled tapes, not just recording over them on a lot of the stuff. But we'll get to that. Again, I'm getting too ahead of myself. Some other ones, the Hex cassette. This was on Pragmagic. This was the test of Hauntomancer. It was the first ever podcast I did fully on 4-track, composed, written, the music recorded to, all on 4-track. And now I'm going to be sending this, to folks, especially current patrons, as a cool little gift. But yeah, I even do color J cards, and they're actually Leo and I were just talking about. This is the symbol or the image that Leo mentioned about finding on Facebook of this rare book that I've been using. So
Yeah,
that was
there it
synchronous
is.
today. There it is. There's the Hauntomancy synchronicity. I like. I'll start saying synchrony. But yeah, just to give you a little bit of taste from color, black and white. I mean, I'm going wild, and depending if they're albums, if they're not Hauntomancer, if they're a Dakota Slim record, if they're a post-punk, EP I recorded on 4-track, they will all be widely different in how they are presented and packaged. These were a lot of the different Hauntomancer, which I do like that cover color, obviously.
I haven't seen that one. That's sick.
Yeah. So that was a recent one. But yeah, they're turning out really well. Not only am I capturing from a 4-track or from my, Caliphone cassette PA I have, or, my handheld cassette recorders, compiling them all onto 4-track and then bouncing it to cassette through a old school JVC 2-deck cassette deck. I also figured out a way to get really high quality, and by high quality I mean not lossless to the vision of the audio or whatever, from my DAW and stuff, so I can start ripping, the Revel Raz album that I've been working on, like the kind of more produced one. Folks will hear a lot of unused things or different randomizations of live audiomancy that was captured on the DAW or the 4-track. So, but yeah, let me get out of here. Where was I? Oh, let's do that. So this is the second tier that I added, and here's kind of a closer look at them. As you can see, I'm really not familiar with my own PowerPoint. I'm like, what's next? He's like, rad. Thank you, Sam and Lamb. Oh, there's Mary June. Yes, must know more about the book. Um, we talked about it at the beginning, Mary, but Frater Perseus here was looking on Facebook, and someone had found a copy of that very book and posted it to Facebook, um, which was super synchronous because it's such a rare, weird book. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think there was much more about the book. Our copy's in still relatively great shape, and all of the information, the print publishing information, is in it and whatnot. Just seems like one of those kind of, like, not, I don't want to say academic, but somewhat like folkloric collection of ghost stories, sold back when.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I thought it was a post by you when I first saw it because I
Mm,
have never seen that symbol before. I thought you drew that. So it was pretty wild when I saw it that I was like, "Oh,
yeah.
this is like is this Keats?" And I look and it's like, "Oh no, this is a book selling page." I was like, "Oh,
Yeah. And I even used the ghost stories title in this, as you can see.
yeah, that's good."
Um, but yeah, I guess I shamelessly ripped it off. But I also never credited as me making it or anything. But it became such a talismanic image, especially when I started working with hauntomancy, and Mary, yeah, brought it home. I was like, holy fuck, that is such a perfect image for the specters of self. But anyways, as you can see that on the label, on the fold out of the J card, like, experimenting with designing how to list the tracks or what they are. This one was the X Hex cassette, so it would be far more written out. Yeah, like here's the original X Hex cassette, and it's got a lot of stuff going on it. Um, so, very different from the old Tascam or cassette Maxwell cassette label stuff. But anyways, enough about the design. I just have been having so much fun with it. I absolutely adore creating all the print media. It's like it's a big ups to my grandparents who owned a ribbon business in New Mexico that I worked at when I was younger, where they had an old Ludlow machine, and we would typeset and hot press and screen print, and so this is like in my blood. I'm excited to just tinker with all of this again. But anyways, the Hex Cassette Club, the second tier. So this one, real quick, just jumps up to 10 monthly. That's obviously because of shipping weight and cost, and plus you'll get a the haulers newsletter, plus you'll get the stickers, all of that. But they're highly individualized, hand packaged, designed cassette tapes, mailed to subscribers every 2 months. So this will kick in November for the first like official cassette release or Hex Cassette Club release. Prior to that, existing patrons can look forward to some surprises, whether it's an X Hex cassette, whether it's a Hauntomancer episode, or whether it's an album. Yeah, so always keep that in mind for anybody that's interested in signing up for this. It's not black and white in the sense that, oh cool, I get my first tape every 2 months. Like it is absolutely my mission to at least every month have something going somewhere as per when you signed up, right? um,
Mm.
I think I can do that. But you know, other things are a lot easier. Sending a letter with some stickers and stuff, absolutely easy to do. Packaging the cassette tapes and all of that, easy in small portions, which I think we have the frequency to mine that pretty well. But I'd love to hear what people think about this frequency idea, where it's a subscription kind of split over a few months that you get all the other accoutrement. But if you think like in regards to, I get a tape for $20, right, in 2 months. That's still not terrible for handcrafted, cassette tape of like highly intentional music if you're willing to pay for it. But that's not at all what's happening. Is you're getting a ton of other stuff as well.
Yeah. I wanted to
Yeah,
ask you a question real quick.
yeah.
So when somebody signs up for Hex Cassette Club, what you're saying is that they are also getting like the micro publishing stuff as well.
So yeah, I mean that's
Okay.
uh, they're available to get the micro publishing stuff. Like definitely stickers, anything we decide to kind of throw them, like they're open for it. The difference is like anyone who's subscribed below $5 would depending, you know, uh, probably wouldn't be considered for like stickers and all of that and the micro publishing. Probably,
Right.
I don't know. But that was my idea behind it. It's just to kind of delineate like the Somatick media service versus like maybe somebody who wants to subscribe just for the podcast or just for the audio. Just kind of wants nothing to do with this, but maybe just likes the Patreon liminal streams and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I don't know. But yeah, if I don't know, that was my idea behind it. Again, this is all kind of shooting from the hip.
Yeah. I was just curious if like each subscription tier builds on the last one, where like you get like how does that work? Because that's the only thing I've been kind of confused on that I figured people might want to know is like does Hex Cassette you can get everything physical media up to that point, and then like the next tier would have the physical media or
Yeah,
the you know what I mean?
yeah. So essentially, yes. Uh, that's exactly kind of what's happening. The
Okay.
idea being, it costs significantly less to send you a haulers when I'm already sending you a cassette, right?
Yeah.
So I don't have to do them or separately or whatever. But yeah, basically, the big thing is there's going to be a lot of like surprises with the micro publishing. I think. I know Eric's got the Feck Up Manifesto planned, and we might need to retool this. But for just getting started right now, it's mainly the cassette and the newsletter. And I think if you sign up for the cassettes, then you automatically get the newsletter tier.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just wanted to get the clarification on that.
Yeah, and that's a good way to put it. You build like you get all that came before, right?
Cool.
Um, yeah, I don't see any problem with that. But then again, like here I am starting a business, and ain't too smart about it, but we'll see. Um, so yeah, what's next? Oh yeah, so Hauntomancer. What is Hauntomancer? I talked a little bit about that. I think the reason why I put this in here is to kind of let folks know that it right now it's currently within the Hex Cassette Club, because of the frequency. Maybe 1 month a Hex Cassette will be a Hauntomancer episode. You know what I mean? Until there might be enough, until the machine's well and oiled and we can figure out better delineation. But I think that's part and parcel to the Hex Cassette. Like, um, this is just basically a subcategory of it. But yeah, it's think of it as the Hauntomancy specific podcast from Pragmagic. And if folks have like looked at social media for any of this, um, I've already kind of started delineating some episodes of Pragmagic specifically for Hauntomancer, which you can now find on streaming platforms. And moving forward, the Hauntomancer episodes will not be fully digitized and put on those on the podcast platforms, but I will post like excerpts or this is what's coming on the next episode sort of thing. So it's going to move into pretty much strictly full episodes on cassette tape. Um, yeah, the first analog audio and video podcast featuring rarefied Hauntomancy. I say Videomancy. I guess it's technically a typo, but that kind of just... This is about Hauntomancer because there is a video component to it, but there's no Videomancy in the cassette world. Unless, I'm stripping audio from a VHS, which, I want to do. So, but just me being picky about my own writing here. Yeah, still $10. It's the same tier. So you're just, this is thrown into the mix. A lot of this is because we are still finding the rhythms for what we can do and the frequency of which we can do. Like I said, I've already made quite a few tapes, and a lot are for, patrons that have already subscribed. And so I don't know what a mad rush of patronage would look like if, say, 10 people signed up this month, and then that means their tape kind of can be expected in that second cycle of the patronage. What that looks like as far as like production, like how to delineate the time, because I have been spending, I've been budgeting, but I did invest in a tape duplicator just in case, but that's really a last resort anyway. Maybe for like Hauntomancer episodes, but tape duplicators kind of insinuate that's down the line if I end up selling a cassette tape on Bandcamp, which might be down the line, but right now this is all going to be kind of subscription for now. So right now how I'm making the tapes is how long it takes to listen to one. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So like I've got because it's cassette tape, it takes me 90 minutes to well, it takes me longer because I'll be doing individualized stuff with it. So let's say, I don't know, 2 hours max from the printing and putting together and the actual like, compositing and customizing the tape. And that's if I'm really quick about it and have shit ready to go. So it's all of these little facets that we are prepared to work through and kind of get our heads around, which I'm excited. I can't wait to find, the rhythm between like, this is how much it costs, this is how long it takes, this is what we can do. Because right now we have how much it costs because of the cost of materials and shipping. We have not equated really the cost of the time that it takes because I love the process, right? Or we love the process of doing it. So that's the only thing. That's my only like thing that's at the forefront of my mind is if there were to just to remind folks that like, we're just punk, idiots doing something cool. That business kind of decorum or a freaking, it's going to be kind of hard found in this kind of situation. Although, I am pledging to get you what you're subscribing for. Yeah, does that make sense? I feel like I'm just kind of like entrapping myself in...
No, yeah, I think what you're trying to say is that we're going to work through all these things. We're not 100% sure how everything's going to go yet because we haven't started shipping them out or making them, and they take time to make and they take resources, and we got to learn how to budget the time and what that's going to take, and it depends on how many people actually sign up and are interested too. So I mean that's really what's going to dictate the workflow and what's going to dictate the whole process. So
I love
I
it.
think
You
that's where
should
we're
just
at.
be my translator.
I mean, is that what you were trying to say, or am I
Yeah, that's
off
yeah,
base?
that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And so here's Morris, the Hauntomancer jackets. As you can see, it's got a visual language and style, not only because of Eric's
Yeah.
art and my font, but just kind
Yeah.
of the layout. I'm really excited about these. These just look
Yeah.
really cool.
The J cards are so sick.
Yeah, pretty badass. And yeah, just to remind folks, you can subscribe to Hauntomancer wherever. The X Hex cassette right now is up there to check out, but I will be taking it down soon. This was just me shuffling a lot of Hauntomancy kind of oriented stuff to the streaming platforms, because we are going to come up against finding this, this communion with the digital, sphere of how things are distributed, how things are getting more eyes on. And it's like I am respectfully bowing out of a lot of that, but at the same time I still want to meet it at a point where if folks are interested, it would be easy to find, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So like doing excerpts like WeTheHallowed.org, all posting for Prag Magic, these sort of things, that's pretty much what we'll do as far as like digital distribution, and the Bandcamp and whatnot. But like outside of that, I think I'm largely going to be taking a break from a lot of the social media kind of aspects of all the artistic things. And yeah, really looking forward to just putting my head into this and some other big projects that I have. Yeah. So this is footage from a screen of some of my Videomancy art that I captured to VHS. So what you're watching is a VHS tape. The reason why I say that is because I did add another tier. It's the last tier for now. And this is the one I'm most excited for, and the one I know nobody's going to sign up for. But just let me have this one for a second. So, like the Hex Cassette Club, this is a VHS, subscription service. We're calling it Video Specters. It's a VHS subscription service of analog and video art, such as Videomancy, music videos, animation, any movable image, even static image, my projection mapping, my camcorder stuff. Again, like the Hex cassettes, highly individualized, crafted. I think I have one in here now. Oh, I'm playing The Exorcist behind me, right? Yeah. So, just some good old-fashioned recordable ones, but also getting bulk old VHS movies or tapes to record over, just like I'm going to do with the Hex cassettes. I don't know if I talked about that, the reason why I'm doing that. So what this is, I just had an out of body moment of how ridiculous I look. What this is a huge bag of white cassette tapes. That's literally what it is. We've got everything from the John Lennon collection to the Firm soundtrack, Elton John, blah blah blah. The only thing that they're alike on is that they were all professionally produced, and they're all white, and they're all cassettes. But they will vary a lot of the time in time or how long the cassette is, and that's what excites me most, because sometimes you want 50-minute cassettes, sometimes you want shorter ones. But the reason why I'm getting bulk of these, because in the Hex Cassette Club, the other part of highly individualized cassettes is that I will be intersplicing and recording over professionally produced cassettes from yesteryear, and either utilizing what's on the tape as a kind of fun, dance with the audio that I'm putting on the tape for you, or I'm, recording over it completely. But it's another way to be not only eco-friendly, but recycle and reuse, and give some hauntomantic life to old forms of discarded media, literally. Um, and so I have a supplier, like a drug dealer, who can I can get different colored tapes and big bundles, 25 white. So that's kind of another passionate facet I have about this, is not only the ability to reuse. Oh, Patsy Cline, won't be ruining that one. Um, but yeah, not the only the ability to reuse the tapes, but the tapes themselves, because they're professionally manufactured, a lot of them will vary in time. So there's just like all of these intentional facets and bullet points to play with, regarding like just how unique each one is going to be, right? And
Wow.
yeah, that's what excites me about the highly individualized aspect, is everything from the tape itself. It's not, I'm not just buying I have them back there, but like the Maxwell 90-minute tapes and recording onto new. I'm not just going to be buying the RCA old school VHSs and selling them. I'm going to be reusing and recycling like old media, at with the caveat that I've investigated it, and maybe I've taken a special. I think I have a good enough eye and knowledge of like film and popular media from the past to know not to shit on something that is worth preserving. Like, I just saw a Christmas album in there, so you can better believe that I'll be recording all over that. So, but when it comes to like buying the bulk VHS, my worry is I'll want to keep them all, because there could be really good stuff in there. But the idea is to kind of dance with that media from the past. Dude, you can't record over the Firm soundtrack. I know exactly which tape you're getting, Jenny. I should set that aside. You're right. I wonder who. Actually, let's see. It's like Thomas Newman or something. The Music Man. Oh, here. The Firm. Oh, it is just the soundtrack and not the score. So. Boring. But anyways, all right, moving on. Yeah, so the VHS one, like the Hex Cassette Club. Anyways, I think I've explained it enough. I mean, obviously, it's not captivating to many people. I think we only have like a few people watching now. We appreciate you, but just being able to kind of speak about it out loud, talk about these plans, really helps kind of delineate and make them, kind of grow into form and function. Because before we were working behind the scenes and we didn't want to say anything yet because we didn't want to be accountable to anything yet. But we will be after tonight. And I just wanted to have some caveats here at the end about existing patrons. If you currently pledge at over one of these new tiers or more, for more than 2 months, you are gifted these tiers within your current perks. However, you must reach out to us and specifically request like which ones you're wanting to roll in. I think it'd be pretty self-explanatory for a lot of you, but I just put that as like a maybe. Basically, a lot of this is how this is going to react is when people sign up for Patreon or there's existing patrons, and you want to be a part of this, the way this is going to need to go down is you personally emailing me your address, right? Personally giving me a place that we can send this stuff to. And within that, go ahead and let me know what you're most excited for. And I, keep that in mind and kind of, I want this to be interpersonal between each and every one that is a part of this. And me and Leo and Eric or whoever, like I really want to like build structural, foundational kind of relationships through this process. And so I think, yeah, just being, vocal about what your expectations are or what, could work better next go around. Like it's going to be so paramount. And if you want to tell me in a letter, that's even better, right? So, yeah, I just wanted to say that. And of course, we will continue to share videos, new music, liminal streams, all the patron perks that you're currently getting. None of that will change. I don't think there's any reason for any of it to change. I don't think I'm doing anything in Patreon that, I'd have to sacrifice for any of this. As a matter of fact, there might be more Patreon posts about the creation of things and all that fun stuff. But and just back to the digital copies thing, the digitization, digital copies of the analog cassettes and VHS will vary, and by that I'm just leaving it open for me to change my mind about wanting to maybe like something turned out so great in a sense that I think it should kind of live on, right? It should haunt on outside of just whatever that hex cassette was or that VHS was. And that's when I'd sell them on Bandcamp or something. And then that's probably when maybe I digitize it. And another option for digitization is people want to support, but they really don't have a cassette player, but they really want to listen to stuff. I would personally digitize it and send it to people upon request. But the hex cassettes, VHSs, largely will not be digitized or put on YouTube or put on Spotify or put on Bandcamp by me. And I am going to leave that option up to you. So, of course, down the road, there might be a good reason to. But for right now, my intention is to keep this very personal and off the ones and zeros. And yeah, and we are now back at the HAUNTQUINOX. That was my TED Talk. Welcome to the Somatick Aeon. And with that now being launched, actually, let's stop sharing. One final thing. And then we're going to jump into Leo's Astro-forecast. Hopefully that didn't take too long.
Only 3 hours later. It's all good.
Yeah. Did it feel like 3 hours?
No, it wasn't that bad.
All right, that's good. It felt like 3 hours given it. That's for sure.
Yeah, a lot of information. You gotta.
Yeah. Let's see. We are here. I'm gonna show. Damn, how do I do this? Tier. So basically, I added all of these tiers. I'm trying to view them as someone other than me. So patreon.com/pragmagic. If you go there, I'll put it in the chat here just for shits and gigs. You can now find the tiers have been installed and launched for the haulers, the micro publishing, the hex cassette, and the um, the VHS one, which I am so excited. If I get one person to sign up for that, we're gonna become like best friends for life. I swear. Like obviously I'm gonna send VHSs to folks that are interested that that I work with or you know. But to have a stranger be like, "Yeah, I'm down," be like, "Yes, I did it," you know,
Right.
because it's such a rarefied, fun, nerdy thing. But yeah, Patreon.com/. Pragmagic. Wait. So it's basically Inception. I'm not sure I understand. Oh, maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure. Anyways, enough about me. I'm gonna shut up for as long as I possibly can and have Leo take the floor. Or Frater Perseus here is gonna grace us with his wonderful cosmic wisdom as the We the Hallowed Cosmic Witness and give us some insights about what's down the line um, on this
Yeah.
equinox, on this HAUNTQUINOX.
Yeah. Well, hopefully everybody is still alive after all of that. I hope we got the information shuttled into their brains and they're still. I mean, it's only 8:45 by you. It's 10:45 here, so I'm glad most of your people are out there because I would be like snoozing. That was awesome though. I do love the fact that we are starting this and I get to be a part of this because I just want to say
Yeah.
one thing to all of that as a final period point is, you know, I've wanted to be a part of like some kind of publishing house and slash record label thing since I was a young guy. And just to be able to be a part of a creative group like this is awesome. And the thing I really want to say is that I would really like to push the submission part of this in the future to
Yes.
get more and more
Yeah.
people into this, where it's not just like, hey, look at the cool shit we're doing. Like, I
Yes.
want it to
Yes.
be get people a
Yeah.
part of it. Like, hey, we
Did
need
I not
more.
mention that?
Uh, Not so much,
No,
but I
I
do
think I
think
probably
that
missed it because
it's
it was part
it's
of
a huge
the
thing.
haulers. I was meaning to mention that. Yes, like this isn't just you're subscribing uh, to get stuff. This is an opportunity for you to also submit to have a piece in the haulers newsletter, to have a piece on a hex cassette, audio sigil,
Yeah,
etc. Really, really happy Leo brought that up. Yeah, that must have slipped my mind because yeah, that is
yeah,
such a major part of it. We the Hallowed has been built off of folks sharing their disparate magics and artworks, whether it's a blog post or a track on an audio sigil or being a
yep,
guest on Prag Magic or what have you. So this is not different from any of that in the sense that uh, we'll be asking for submissions for a bunch of stuff, and there will be more down the road, like audio sigil, you know, prompts and
compilations.
stuff, and compilations, and like yeah, that's a huge part of it. Because yeah, forgive me, and this is why I hate doing this, is because I know I'm an airhead and I forget things,
No, man,
um,
it's all good.
but also because I hate the feeling that it's like it's all about me. You're subscribing to me, and like all of my shit, and it's like no, that's not what I meant. Like that's why Hauntomancer was different, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. Because I
right.
was like that'll probably be more specifically me, but everything else will be a more communal thing. So
Yeah, I think
yeah,
it's
yeah,
going to be cool, and I really like the idea of people shuffling tapes around, shuffling these newsletters. Hey, check out this cool newsletter thing I'm subscribed to. You're into like metaphysical stuff. You would like this, and then they start sending it, and people start getting involved, and they're like, hey, my friend would really be great to like release some songs on the next compilation or whatever, or me, I would love to do that, and like I think getting people to feel like they can be a part of it is probably something we should, you, me, and Eric specifically should be kind of focused on growing and creating and cultivating opportunities for people to do that along with what we're doing. So I think that
absolutely.
that's the direction I'd like to go in with that. But yeah, I mean, we can kind of take that as it goes and let people just know more and more about different opportunities. And when you sign up to the tiers, hey, we're also this month we're releasing a submission platform for you to like be on the next Hex Cassette Club.
Mm.
So what do you got? Stuff like that or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
So
yeah. Again, like it might have been overboard, just as I'm steps ahead because of how long we've been working on this stuff. But like, really, the focus right now is the newsletter because we want the newsletter to be out to people, at least the first batch of people by Halloween, and that's like the first focus. Then it's the cassette, so we're not jumping into all of that immediately. We are staggering it a bit. I'm just really excited, a little too bright eyed and bushy tailed about all of the stuff that I like doing in the processes of the
yeah,
VHS and the cassettes. But we are being very like courteous about making sure we have our wits and our whims about us before jumping too deep on certain things. But after
for
the
sure.
first haulers is consorted, after the first hex cassette is consorted, we know what it's like to fulfill those things. Then absolutely everything from then on out should be um, submission based, or can
Yeah.
be submission based. Yeah.
Yeah, that should definitely play a large component part. And I just want people listening to this live now or in the future to just know that like that's the goal is to grow We the Hollowed, I think, and to
Yeah.
grow the network and to grow the just overall the people and the number of people who are contributing and being creative because I think that's ultimately the seed idea, right? Is to get people
Mm-hmm.
to continue to create and communicate with a
Yeah.
similar
Look,
metaphysical bent,
man, I just want cool friends. You know, I
right?
need more cool friends. I need more
Likewise.
cool friends doing cool stuff, and like, um, all of this. I don't want to get into you know childhood stuff or whatever, but let's just say like, you know, the big thing for this for me was the place to feel like things can be facilitated in a beautiful way to celebrate anarchic individuality and creativity, and to egg each other on, about being process punks, about loving, the art of creativity, and conjuring, and investigating the self, and all of that. So I'll just leave it
Mhm.
at that, because I don't
Cool.
want to take up more of your time.
Alrighty. Well, we will get to some of the stellar sensations. Let's do that. So today I just wanted to let people know, obviously it's the equinox here, and we were talking earlier about there being a lot of synchronicity today, and I think that that's really interesting because there's a lot of interesting transits today. Specifically, this morning the moon moved into Gemini, which is interesting. At the same day that the sun moved into Libra, so they're both trining each other on that aspect. But that's interesting to have them both move on the same day. And then we have Venus square Pluto retrograde. So what happened was on December 1st, Pluto went from Aquarius into it's when retrograding back into Capricorn where it's been for 15 years.
Oh,
So
wow.
it moved into Capricorn in 2008 and it shook the foundations because Capricorn's a foundational earth sign of our institution. So like the Great Recession, all the bank collapses, all that kind of stuff was definitely something that you could say was tied to the Pluto ingress on. But it's been in Aquarius since early January of this year. So this whole year we've had Pluto in Aquarius and moving direct for half of that time. So a lot of energies have been different. A lot of things have been I felt a lot better this year because Capricorn's my first house of the self, identity. So when Pluto's rocking your first house, your whole identity got shifted. That's when I started studying psychedelics, consciousness, all these different things I noticed. So um, people like me will notice that, but look at what house that is in your chart, whole sign house, and you might notice those themes popping up in those specific areas assigned to that house. But now that it's back in Capricorn, it's been shaking the foundations, a little bit more, and I think that it's going to happen more and more until it leaves in the middle of November. So obviously the election is going to be part of that. Going to be shaking uh, the institutions, the foundations, like I said, and it's the last time it's going to be doing this for 200 something years because of its orbit. So
When did you say that is moving out?
November, I want to say 18th or 19th.
Okay, I'm just making sure to write some of these dates down. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, I got my thing up here real quick. I'll double check to give you an exact date here. One sec. But
just as like a just a personal kind of log.
oh yeah,
Um,
and I think people want to know too because it is a big deal. It is the planet of death, transformation.
yeah.
All those kind of deep-seated subconscious corruption, all these kind of things. So, uh, yes, the 19th of November is when it moves back into Aquarius.
Sweet.
So,
So what does that kind of show you? The Capricorn and Aquarius kind of interaction. That seems a bit well, it's Earth and water, yeah, but I mean,
it's Earth
or
and
Earth
air.
and
But
air, I
yeah,
mean, but
yeah,
it does seem, yeah, kind of oppositional.
yeah, yeah, for sure, man. I noticed a big change in just the deep psychological foundations of myself and the things that I was afraid of changed, like or went away. The things that you got to remember, like astrology is working through the back end of your mind. There's subconscious, subtle psychic influences that
Sure.
are being, whether that's, I mean, I think those are cycles in nature. I'm not exactly of the mind that the planets are beaming things at us,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
nobody knows. That's the other thing. Nobody knows. So
Right.
I can't say it's one thing or the other, but they're subtle subconscious influences. And that's why you feel different day to day too. Even if you do the exact same thing every day, you kind of the planetary influences, especially the moon and things like that, will change your day to day perception. So keep that in mind too. I remember listening to Austin Coppock talk on the astrology podcast about how the moon goes through the same cycle every month. So you're on the same emotional 30-day or 28-day cycle. So pay attention to that. How it affects your chart is different than how it affects mine,
Yeah.
but we're on the same cycle type loop.
Oh, the moon
So,
fucks me up, man.
right. So, I mean, you've noticed that. So, other
Yeah, I'm
people
just
should note.
I feel overtly sensitive to the moon specifically cycles, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
probably something in my chart. But I was gonna say I think my Neptune is in Capricorn,
yeah, it is.
which you know is very hot and cold. Um, as far as like the kind of foundational aspects of spirit, spirituality, even like becoming a bit more rigid about either or wanting to, but just inherently not being able to. And I've noticed that over my life, and that's what the whole neither either or thing kind of came from, was like this binary, you know, thinking that I had to get past, and the whole third mind idea. And I think
Yeah.
Capricorn was that, you know, the antler wrestling with the trident in a way. But yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I think that's your fifth house if we're going by Virgo rising for you.
I
So,
think so.
yeah. So that's going to be, creativity, procreation, recreation, games, things like that. So, like I said, creativity. So, and that's obviously a big thing for you. So, I can definitely see why having Neptune in fifth house would make you a metaphysically minded creator. You
Yeah.
know, that's definitely what I see more with that. But the angles and the aspects are what's you're gonna feel tension or resolve
Uh huh.
between the different aspects of your life. So, all
Yeah,
right.
and
So
I
for the
was
rest,
just speaking like just from like kind of the imagery of like Capricorn and Neptune. But you're right. Like yeah, all the other variables take into account. Something I definitely need to dive more into is just getting really intrinsic about the actual planets themselves and their placements instead of these these big movements.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely something for people. I mean, some of the most advanced astrologers have said, fuck house systems and fuck the zodiac. Like, let's just
Yeah,
look at angles, like old school Babylonian shit.
yeah.
So that's
I'm kind of down
if
with that.
yeah, it seems simple. It seems very cut and dry. Like, like let's not muck it up with the system and a map over it. Let's just look at what's basically there. So I do like the simplicity of that, but I do think it might leave out some of the nuance that the systems have developed over time. That's important.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, moving into October, man, we have this is this is eclipse season we're in. We already just had the one in Pisces, like less than a week ago.
Hmm.
So that was pretty interesting.
The lunar.
On the lunar partial lunar one was cool. I saw the top of the moon was like black because it was partial. It was pretty interesting. But we have the annual solar eclipse on October 7th, 2nd, and that's in Libra at 10 degrees. So,
Really?
uh, yep. So pay attention to that. Pay attention to Libra in your chart, folks. 10 degrees. If you have anything within 5 degrees of that, I would say you're going to feel definitely something noticeable. And then honestly, that's kind of playing second fiddle to this next, uh, you know, transit here. This next, it's the full moon. It's the next lunation. So that's in Aries at 24 degrees. And what's interesting about that is that that is the culmination of the April eclipse that we had this year. That's
Interesting.
the 6-month culmination. So
Oh.
yeah, so everything that happened around then and was triggered by that eclipse in your life,
Yeah.
will start to have some kind of culminating or start to see the fruits and or, potentially rotten fruits if it's a bad thing
Hmm.
in your life. So I really think people should pay attention to what happened. I believe it was April 8th, right?
Yep.
Wasn't that
April
the
8th.
so pay attention to what happened
That was a
around that time
major
in your life.
day for me,
Yeah, absolutely.
as
Me too.
the great eclipse, American eclipse saga was. But that's super. What was the date for the full moon in October?
October 17th.
Oh, 17th. It's a good number. All right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's one to pay attention to, I think for sure. October 11th, going back a little bit, Pluto stations direct, so that means that it'll be moving forward in Capricorn back towards Aquarius. So that we might actually feel more Plutonian things because it'll be direct motion. So
Mm.
we're kind of getting like a little preview. What I will say about the Pluto retrograde slash any of it being in Capricorn is that it's in the anaretic degree, which means it's in between 29 and 29:59 arc minutes right before it switches to Aquarius in the very last degree. So you get some kind of like phase effect. I've noticed a lot with that. Like it doesn't fully feel like it's in one sign or the other. It feels like it's getting like some weird phase kind of happening. You start to get some of the energy bleed through from the next sign.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
I mean that's what I've noticed. Other people will say different things, but that's kind of what I've noticed. Um, yep, that's pretty much it for October. Those are the big ones for October, I would say.
Okay. Well, that seems
Um,
like a pretty remarkable month, and personally, historically, for me, it usually is, and that's pretty fascinating that the culmination of April 8th, that last major third eclipse, kind of working for me, culminating in that way because of what happened in my life that day. Like major changes actually started and kicked in that day, so I'm looking forward to it. I've got high hopes for those fruits and not those looms. You know.
yeah, and you remember how we were making a big deal about Uranus and the whole algol star
Sure, of
thing?
course, yeah.
It's Uranus is going to retrograde over that same point again, by the way.
Oh, great.
So and then go direct. Yeah. So
When is that?
uh, that's like in December. I didn't write this one down, but I just remembered that. It looks like I'm looking at my chart, my movable chart here. It looks like it's going to be. It goes direct. mm, like March 4th. So it's going to be, that's at
Does it
23
really?
degrees. Yeah. So it's going to be retrograding over it during the winter. And then it's going to hit it again in March. It's 24
Sorry,
degrees Taurus.
you said December 24th?
Uh, no, just in December of 24, like
Oh,
the
okay.
this year, yeah. So
That's
I
interesting.
have to,
Yeah,
yeah,
last night I mapped out like the Ra's al Ghul goal for the album, and it was December. And I think it'd be pretty funny if like once that transit starts to put the album out.
yeah, pretty synchronous, you know. And
Yeah.
there's something I was looking at today as well. I'm wondering if do I still have it on here? What the hell is it? Maybe I closed it out, but I was looking up. Oh wait, here we go. Uh, anyway, I was looking through some books on astrology and fixed star astrology,
Mhm.
and it was talking about Algol, and it was mentioning Algol as these something to do with specters, and I thought that was very interesting. And it had the same spelling that you used. It was very interesting. So another tether and another weird uh, synchronicity there.
Yeah,
But
gotta find that.
yeah, I'll find it and I'll read it when I
I'll
get it.
write it down too. Algol and
But
specters.
yeah, Algol specters, right? Okay, so we have November. Trying to see if we have anything earlier in November the 15th. Basically, there isn't too much popping off in November except for Saturn is stationing direct. So Saturn's been retrograde since I think like before the beginning of the summer, like the early summer.
Mhm.
So we've been feeling it moving backwards, moonwalking through our charts basically, running over old ground. And now it's going to hit direct at I think 12 degrees Pisces. So
Okay.
heats for you. That's something to look at because you have a lot of planets in Pisces. So I would definitely check that out
Yeah.
and see where it retrogrades over. I don't have your chart up right now, but if I did, I would let you
Oh,
know.
it's okay.
But
Wait, you said November.
November 15th, it stations direct.
Cool.
Yeah. So let's see. Saturn stations. 15th. Yeah. Saturn stations direct to Pisces. So
Cool.
that's going to be interesting. Pay attention to that because I notice a lot of people are having spiritual tension because of it. You know what I mean? Like a lot
Mm.
of people are having, because we have Neptune, which is very resonant with the energies of Pisces right now in Pisces, and then Saturn, the exact, maybe not the exact opposite, but like a very, um, what's what I'm looking for? An antagonistic principle coming into that sign, the watery, mystical waters of Pisces, and it's bringing structure, and it's bringing constriction, and it's bringing solidarity,
Yeah.
solidifying all these things. So like
I look
people
forward
are
to it.
like, yeah, I mean, it might be good for some people who need to have their feet on the ground, but it's also
Mhm.
causing these religious rifts, or it's
Mhm.
causing these uh, constantly
Schisms. Yeah.
Quranzonic questioning what is real, is anything real, or my belief system is real. How, you know what I mean? Like that's the big thing. I know some of my friends, even my roommate and a bunch of people, are having these like existential debates in their mind that they never really tangled with before, and it's been transformational for them. And a lot of people are don't know why they're depressed or why they're having melancholy. And I'm like, oh, well, let me look at your chart. Oh, you have heavy Pisces placements, or like you're having your second Saturn return right now, like one of my
Mhm.
students. So, you know, pay attention to that. Saturn is big papa. Saturn's going to come in and set things straight, but it's going to be a little bit of pain and a little bit of sadness sometimes if you're not
Well,
prepared. So,
it's already been pretty heavy. Uh,
heavy, yep,
with with the Piscean kind of aspects too, right? Um,
yeah,
so maybe
absolutely,
it being direct is like kind of a not a finality, but finally some motion, of these
yeah,
like otherwise tumultuous waters. But yeah, I'm
yeah.
not gonna lie, I've had some rough internal days as of late. Um,
For sure.
so yeah,
You have Sun in Pisces, so
yeah,
that's going to be a big. I don't know what degree your Sun is at, but as it gets closer and it starts to run over it, it's gonna. I don't know if it did that already, but regardless, whenever that happens, you're gonna feel that heaviness. It starts to weigh on the light of life a little bit. So
Hmm.
things just become a little more dim. You know what I mean? Things become heavy,
Yeah.
like you said. And it's not like you instantly become crazily depressed or have existential nihilism, but that is definitely
Sure.
not unheard of for some people. And like if it goes over your ascendant, if you have Pisces rising, like Devin does, my roommate, like good luck to you, man. Like it's gonna be it's gonna be some tough sailing for a while, but
Okay.
you'll be able to make it out of there. The other thing is that November 19th, Pluto moves back into Aquarius, baby. So I'm actually excited for that because when it's in Aquarius, I've noticed I feel turned on, I feel turned up because it's my second house. Yeah, so that's November 19th, like we said before. Um, that's a big deal. That's a big deal because it's never going back into Capricorn, not in our lifetime.
That's nice.
So yeah, so big shift of underlying subconscious energies, big shift. Whatever you noticed this year between January 20th, I think it was, and September 1st, whatever energies you felt a shift in your life, anybody listening to this, like try to really think back and look at what that was and document it because you're going to get 20 years of that.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So hopefully you're not,
Oh damn. That's
yeah.
when you put it
It's
like that.
Yeah, well, I'm a brutally honest person sometimes, and I think in astrology you need to be. There's too much soft out there. Like you're
Well, I
gonna
mean,
meet your partner, like
yeah, I guess
tomorrow.
it's in the like the focusing or the of the iris of what that scope looks like the
Yeah,
frequency and the depth of the changes that occurred.
yeah,
Is probably how I would gauge that. Like, okay, so I can strap in for,
yeah,
January 20th to September 1st was a. I mean, so much has happened in my life personally. So when you say that, look forward to that. Well, it's like, well, good. I wasn't born to sit around, so let's go. You
yeah.
know.
I mean, you have to look at the part of your chart it's in too. Obviously, those
Sure.
kind of changes. Not everything that happened was that, but I hear what you're saying, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it just strap in for 20, baby. It's just going
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
Um,
Best
December,
years of my
December,
life.
best years of your life. Hell yeah, good. Um, December, here we are. We're at December now. I get really excited, so I start talking really fast. But
No, it's all good.
we have two new moons in December. That's pretty cool. We have two fresh beginnings in the month of December. December 1st, this is the interesting thing too. They're both at 9 degrees in their respective signs. So
Interesting.
December 1st, we have a new moon in Sagittarius at 9 degrees. And December 30th, we have a new moon in Capricorn at 9 degrees. So new things, new times to start stuff, or times to start new things. That's pretty much it. It's kind of just that month is bookended by new moons. That's
Yeah,
probably the
it's
only really
kind of beautiful.
significant thing that I could see. And then also, oh, actually, here, I actually wrote some more notes. So December 6th, Mars stations retrograde at 6 degrees of Leo. It won't be back to 6 degrees of Leo until May of 2025.
Okay.
So that whole time is going to be a retrograde period for Mars in its sign of fall, which is Cancer. So
Okay.
weak, not able to do its best job there, not able to really fully express itself. Um, so you're going to notice that. That's my seventh house. That's my house of relationships, marriage, um,
But
partnerships,
Aries,
things like that. No, it's Cancer.
Cancer.
Cancer's my, yeah. So,
I believe that's Miss Mary June's moon.
oh, Cancer moon, nice. That's the home sign for the moon. But December 7th, we have, here we go with this one. This is interesting. Neptune station direct. So what I noticed is when the the retrograde station of Neptune happened earlier this year, right before that, there was increasing synchronicity. And I
Okay.
think that was something to do with the fact that it was in the anaretic degree, like we talked about before, that last degree, 29 degrees of a sign to 0, the beginning of a next sign, that last degree point. Synchronicity was just so heightened. And I think I was even talking to you at that time, and you had noticed some heightened synchronicity at that time. So it's going to start moving forward back to that point again. It's going to start because it's about to switch into Aries, which is going to be interesting.
Mhm.
And when it does that, it's going to be moving with Saturn. So that's something to keep in mind too. Next summer, so many things are going to be different. Pluto's going to be in Aquarius. Saturn and Neptune are going to be, for a small 6-month, 5-month stint, going to be in Aries. And then they're going to move back into Pisces for a little bit, and then they're both going to move back into Aries. Uh, Neptune for like 12, 14 years, whatever it is, and then Saturn for 2.5. But that conjunction, I remember listening to a couple higher level, more knowledgeable astrologers than me mentioning that they did the calculations. And I mean, this is just me hearing them saying this. I haven't run the calculations myself, but that uh, Saturn and Neptune conjunct in 0 degrees of Aries hasn't happened in 6,000 years.
Wow.
So that's a huge beginning of another 6,000 year cycle.
Is that another Kali
Because
Yuga? Yeah, or another Yuga, I should
potentially, I
say.
mean,
Yeah.
you got to remember too that, you know, the first degree of Aries is the first degree of the zodiac, the
Right.
first degree of the anima mundi. So it's like starting the whole cycle again, literally.
Mhm.
So that's huge. That's something to think
Yeah.
about too. Like the world is definitely shifting, and you're going to get a taste of that next year. But
Mhm.
I think those are things to notice that, these outer planets are all making shifts. And for people who aren't astrology heads like me, I know a lot of this stuff, talking about houses or talking about aspects or whatever. A lot of people just know their sun signs, their rising signs, and things like that. Um, I definitely urge you to get your chart online and try to get it done in whole sign houses if you can find the little tab to do that. And study a little bit here and there, because even having a slight edge, a 1% edge of knowledge on how these things are going to affect your chart. You don't have to study every day. You don't have to study super diligently. Sorry. Um, that little edge is going to make you more prepared, more knowledgeable, and overall have more power over your life, understanding the influences that not only are going to happen to you, and like we're talking about through the back end of your psyche, but the world at large and the mundane, uh, you know, circumstances.
Yeah.
So I really urge people who are at all metaphysically minded to not be thrown off by all the terminology and all the dauntingness. It seems like I got to learn all these things to know astrology. It's like, no, you can take your time and you can do piece by piece,
Mhm.
and just know that each little piece that you add in here this month or next month that you learn about even your own chart will have an effect on how much you're able to be more, have more agency in the world and in your life. So
Yeah, for sure. And just the the alliteration too, like the archetypal, you know, symbology of it all. Like in my mind, it's always just like this big play, this theater between these kind of like you know impermanent but permanent kind of fixtures, kind of brushing together, and in a bottle episode on Love Boat, basically. So
hmm,
hijinks will ensue. Um, but
yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
it's really it's fascinating stuff since we've been working together. Like yeah, I've definitely reconfigured my um, not only my outlook about astrology, but my appreciation of it, and like my how it can also transpose into my own logging of the self and my rhythms, and the rhythms in between me and others, and everything. And it's never a oh, that's why. It's always like, wow, that rhymes pretty nicely with that, and that's really fascinating. Um,
Sure.
because of all the variables, that being, I think, kind of a major variable that is often misunderstood and overlooked. Um, and I
Yeah.
still largely misunderstand it, admittedly. Um, but yeah, it seems like a fascinating. Like I love that there was some aspects of your forecast where I was like, "Come on, man, give me the good news," But in the same way,
Yeah.
like that's the kind of archetypal nature, especially if you're a tower card type person like myself, and you know find the ritual and the release of breaking down to build again. It sounds like these next 3 months are gonna be there's gonna be plenty of opportunity to take stock in what needs to be reconfigured or
Yeah.
solidified. Yeah.
Trust me, man. If I could re-engineer the sky
Yeah.
as the cosmocritor to put all the stars and the planets back to where they were during the 90s, I would do it.
Oh man.
But
Yeah.
but it's like we have to take the good with the bad. Not everything is bad though, man. Like,
No, of
Saturn
course
going
not.
direct.
Yeah.
If you're born with Saturn direct, you'll feel better. I was born with Saturn retrograde, so when it goes retrograde, I feel a little bit better. Like Venus
Uh
just
huh.
moved into Scorpio literally while we've been having this podcast by this
Uh
liminal
huh.
stream. So that depends. Like, it's not super strong there, but Venus is going to have a beneficent effect in whatever sign it's in. So squares aren't always bad either,
Right. Yeah.
so it
That
really
was a big
depends on
thing.
what you're dealing with.
Yeah, that was a big thing I came around to with squares because there is a lot of squares in my chart, but there was also like the understanding that these aren't like it's not so much struggle busing every time these are in conjoined. It's like the it's almost like an arithmetic that you've been gifted to understand the oppositional parts of whatever that is like in your
Yeah,
chart. Like
sure.
kind of
There's squares, but
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say if there's squares to benefics or benefics squaring things, Jupiter and Venus squaring things,
Mm-hmm.
usually that's good. That
Yeah.
provides some relief or that provides some kind of um, tension that is creative and or enlightening.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
enlightening. That's kind of what I was going towards was yeah, it's like it's not these eternal things. It's like these teachable things that are you're better for it and are actually like foundational aspects of yourself that you probably cherish,
hmm
Um
yeah.
so it's fascinating. I'd be reticent if I didn't ask you if you heard or saw anything about the election
In terms of like
in terms of
astrological
like
predictions.
uh,
You know,
transits or um, anything interesting.
um, the one thing I heard about was I can't remember what the transit was, but a few astrologers were noticing that um, this one transit that is has either already occurred or is going to occur in the next couple months is positive for Kamala Harris because she's had it happen at multiple points in her history. I forget which one it is. Forgive me, but it's every time the transit happens, she moves up a level in her career.
Hmm.
They've correlated it to that.
See,
So
I
if
need
you're,
that kind of insight. For me, it's like when I can just be like, "All right, here it comes,"
oh, we all do, dude. I mean,
You're
that's
right?
why
Yeah.
like that's why we study. But it's like I don't want to spend hours of my life looking at somebody's chart
No,
who I don't really
that's what
give a
I'm
shit
saying.
about.
Yeah, it's like
What?
it's
Yeah, it's like
because
I don't
they're
care.
public figures and there's so much,
Yeah,
stock and these
yeah,
folks, these like quote unquote paragons or whatever. Like it's insane
yeah,
how much study goes into them, uh,
yeah.
celestially too.
Yeah, and like I don't give a shit about her chart. I don't give a shit about Trump's chart. Like I don't
Right.
really care enough to get in there and look at them,
I was
But I mean,
thinking
if you
more
do
of
care
like,
about them, okay.
yeah, I was thinking more of like any, not necessarily outcome, but any kind of like outside of who wins, like what the stars, I hate when people say what the stars say, but like if
What
you,
the stars have in store for you.
yeah, if you've
Right.
noticed like any transits that that could be either, you know, uh, yeah, good or bad. Not necessarily either good or bad, but just anything that poked out about, something reactionary, or
Yeah,
like something that could be um, startling or, triumphant or what.
yeah, that Uranus transit, that retrograde and
Right.
then going direct is probably the one I'd point to. Um, that's a big one. And then next year it's going to move into Gemini. So whoever does end up becoming president, we're going to have all three outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, shift. They're all going into different signs. So that means, regardless of who wins, the world is going to shift drastically. And
Yeah.
it's not necessarily because of them, but that means that whoever gets
Right.
voted in is going to have to deal with a new landslide of new challenges that, they're not seeing. But I also think that these people have astrologers. If there's, you know what I mean? I don't
Oh,
think
for
that
sure. Yeah.
I don't, they tell us like, oh, it's all bullshit. Don't worry about astrology. And then they're behind the scenes like, yo, this is going to happen. So let's not do it on this day. I believe that wholeheartedly, man. I really
I
don't think
mean,
because
it's you'd be crazy not to. They've classically usually had astrologers.
Mhm.
There's, yeah, it might be a faux pas now or whatever, but they absolutely have some sort of, or whoever's making the schedule, has one kind
for
of thing.
sure. Dev and
Yeah.
I always make the joke like, bring me another star seer who foretells that I will win the election.
Yeah.
Like, and
Just
then it's
cycles
like,
through them. Yeah.
yeah, and they're just like, kill him.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's just like,
Wrong answer. Yeah. Bring me
right,
another one. Yeah.
That's how they used to test them. They used to bring astrologers to the edge of a cliff and be like, "What do you? What is your forecast for what's going to happen to you?" And he's like, "If they didn't say I'm in great danger right now, they were just killed because they
Yeah.
couldn't be trusted." Shit like that. Like it's
For
it's
sure.
pretty wild, man. So,
Yeah.
um, big year ahead for everybody, not just astrologically, just mundane life. Like
Right.
let's just kind of hope that whatever happens, whatever side you're on, doesn't really matter to me. But I hope that everybody and their families do well, and we don't uh, have such a major interruption in our lives that we can't continue on.
Yeah.
That's really what I hope for. I think we all, regardless of what side you fall on, I don't fall on either side, but whatever side you fall on, um, or outside the third side, third scene, um,
Hmm.
I hope that we all get through the year and we're better for it.
I like that. Yeah. No shakeups big enough for any sort of untenable kind of regression.
Hmm.
Um, that's yeah. What more could you hope for as for the world at large? Just
Yeah.
just don't shift us back any further.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't have a prediction like Trump wins or anything because
No,
I
no,
nobody
and
knows. You know
that's
what I
not.
mean?
Yeah,
But
I
like,
wasn't even looking to see that because honestly, I, you know, don't quote me, but it doesn't matter. Um,
right. Oh, I'm
um,
quoting.
yeah, straight to the presses. Keats doesn't give a fuck. Um, but yeah, yeah, I'm looking at the list just now of all the things and like the algal coming up kind of tickles me a little bit because you had actually the reason why I released um many name the first song sigil was because under your guidance you're like I think this is a good day of this month to release something, and I kind of did it the same way with Father Karras, uh, but I couldn't not release something on Friday the 13th, even though it was kind of meant to be the 14th because I think that was what we discussed. But I was like, hey, what? Come on, I'm that close, so I got to do it. And plus,
Yeah,
it's
I'll think of it.
Father Karras, a religious character. Friday the 13th, like, it's just
Perfect.
it. Yeah, it made sense, but I'd like to because when I've asked you, I've always asked you, this thing is coming out this month. What's a good day? I would love to like sit down and be like, this is the year. Like, what is the best day? this year to release, a piece of art to the world, and just kind of go from there instead of like, well, if I have just these choices, I guess it's this day kind of a thing, because I'm
Yeah.
always like, I just want it out. So it'd be fun to look at. Did you see any
Yeah.
of those?
Um, you know
Tell
what?
me, sir.
It's things are it looks like next year there's a lot of big change ups in the summer, but in terms of like benefic transits and stuff like that, I think we're gonna have to wait until Jupiter moves into Cancer next summer, and that's gonna be
Fucking
great
hell.
because, well, just hear me out,
I'm just
okay?
kidding. I like quit.
Because
I'm just like, I'm
yeah,
done.
I wouldn't, but Jupiter's exalted in Cancer. It's very strong there, and there are two times in that year that Venus conjuncts going direct with Jupiter. So we have the luckiest day of the year twice in a sign where Jupiter is strong.
Summer love.
So yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe, but I
Venus
think it's
twice.
going to be that two times that year within that whole year from summer 25 to summer 26. So that's going to be pretty cool, man. I'm actually excited for that.
I
That's my
like
seventh
that.
house. So,
I'm
so
I'm gonna keep kind of, well, obviously in the back of my mind, but I'll keep it kind of close to my vest just to keep my eyes peeled for what culminates next summer. Um, Cause yeah, hey, if it's better than this one in any way, I'm fine with it. It's like this
yeah, we
last
had a
one
good summer.
wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't. It's not. I guess that's my like just kind of quick reading of the summer, but it kind of sucked, right? That was kind of a shitty summer.
Um, it wasn't super eventful, but we worked on Bim Zoom. I enjoyed that.
Oh, no, no, no! I meant like for the world.
Okay.
Like
I was like, oh
you're
shit.
like, damn, dude, yeah, no, 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 no,
Yeah, I was
no,
like, damn,
sorry.
dog.
No, I meant like, yeah, just like in world events. But then again, that you could say that about any summer
I
ever.
mean, if you pick out all the
There's
bad
always
events,
gonna
yeah.
be, yeah, yeah.
I
But
mean,
I just mean there was something I felt like I just felt the kind of a sulfuric taste in my mouth this summer about maybe, yeah, maybe it was just the kind of uh I think it's, yeah, it's both the reason why the somatic media thing is so important to me is because I can't trust my view of the world anymore from these windows. And I can't, like, interpersonally, what I'm getting as far as like actual, forgive me for using the term, but vibe checks from people are what they're just ascertaining from their kind of windowless world and in the phones and the news cycle. And it's just like it feels like this Ouroboros of just the snake eating itself and the hype train of the election and all the
yeah,
everything that bullshit, everything that went down just seems, you know, a bit more untenable than usual, and it just felt magnified this summer for some reason. And
for sure.
yeah,
Definitely. I feel like what would help everybody is if you tried to depolarize yourself. One of the biggest things about being a magically minded person is if you study any of the basic books, the middle pillar ritual, any of that stuff in the beginning, it's about depolarizing yourself
yeah,
because when you're polarized, you're easy to manipulate. And
mm,
I think that we have to remember that. I think that's a huge thing to remember is that we used to be neighbors. We used to be people who talked to each other, even if it was just a little bit. And ever since 2016, the world discovered politics again,
right,
and everybody's fucking lost their mind on both sides, and at least in America. And it's like, stop. Who cares who somebody's voting for? Like, is this person a nice person to you? Are they your neighbor you can like
yeah,
have a barbecue with? Are they somebody you could send a cassette tape to?
yeah.
Like, is
Well, and
that really
also
what?
like we're fighting over what are logistically puppets, like
Right.
that. I mean, it just doesn't, like, I don't understand. It is more of a not to get too into it, but it is more of a symbolic thing than an actual like actionable utilitarian thing. You know what I mean? It's become a
Totally.
symbolic war, and these are the You know, the two fighting gladiators, which would be the funniest fucking gladiator match in the history of the world. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty good. I
Trump
do
wouldn't
think
stand a chance.
I don't know who would stand a chance or not because
Yeah,
this world's wild, man, and
yeah, I'm just joking.
who would know? Maybe he's been training jujitsu, but like it would be
Ugh.
pretty insane to
I
see.
definitely wouldn't want him on top of me. That's for sure.
Neither would I,
Yeah.
but I think focusing less on fucking politics and focusing
Yeah.
more on what you're doing in your life and how you're freeing yourself from that cycle, especially as people, anybody who's listening to this right now, who's watching this, like, besides your political affiliation, whatever you may or may not have, think about like the fact that magic in itself is a subversive act. Like, enchantment is rebellion.
Mhm.
Like, taking back the world for yourself from those who, this is my Uranus in my first house speaking, by the way.
Mhm.
Um, I'm massively a rebel. I always have been. I always have been a subversive bastard, and I always will be. And that's why I preach that message. I'm a proud peasant in the rebellion because I'm tired of watching the world getting taken away from regular folks. And you can say whatever the cause is, it doesn't matter. The fact is that we need to come together as metaphysically minded artists in this platform and in We the Hallowed and things like that, and build each other up like you were talking about. I would love to see that. I would love to see more of that being what the world is talking about, and like, and on social media and networks growing rather than, oh, you like this person, I can't talk to you anymore. Like, that's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, and like again, I think my resolve just in with brain chemistry and interpersonal dynamics being what they are, like it just occurred to me how uncaring or how unintentional we speak to each other is now. It's kind of crazy to
Hmm.
me. Um, like how
Yeah.
much how you me knowing like how heavy and magical words are, and we literally toss them around through these black mirrors at each other ad nauseum, without much thought. It's just, I don't know, it was just like one of those moments where I was like, yeah, what, whoa, yeah, whoa, like, wait a second, uh we should take a breath maybe before you text back, or um before I don't know, throw any kind of like social media tantrum or something. It's just like, who are we? Like, why is this becoming like the symbolically representative idea of who we are to each other? Because it
Right.
literally means nothing. Like, why aren't you giving me a phone call, kind of a thing? Like, what? Why are we allowing this to jurisdict it? And it's just it. I don't know. It just became really apparent to me. Just yeah, just how flippant our use of communication is these days, and how uncaring we are. I think about it, and it's stupid. Like,
Yeah.
um, yeah,
It.
and it's
It.
annoying, and like I'm not impressed. I don't give a fuck about the technology. I don't think it's whatever. There's some people that are doing cool stuff with it. And I love that, uh, and I can even dig on aspects of it, but I'm just like, fucking. I'm tired. I just want to go, like, do the salon kind of culture that we the Hallowed started in. That was such a vibrant, kind of fresh thing, and because of moving, and because of 2020, and because of things that happen in the world, we had to adapt more into the kind of digital atmosphere of everything, and with that kind of lost the impetus and the accountability of like showing up to a salon, or being a part of a performance, or being a part of an audience, or being a part of uh, a journalist, or whatever, a performer of any sort. And like,
Yeah.
that's such a bummer to me, because like, it doesn't feel, to me, it doesn't feel the same, uh, releasing an album on Bandcamp versus making a tape for somebody with my music on it. The latter will always feel more apropos to my intentions as a musician or a songwriter than the former will. And just because the former reaches more people, I still think it's everything on the internet is literally just an advertisement tool for attention. It's not. It's like that can't be your end all be all. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
listening to
Yeah.
an album on Spotify and being like, okay, cool. When's the next album? It's like, what? That's it?
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. It's not even here. It's like it's not there. It's
Yeah.
literal code. You
Yep.
know?
I was a kid who loved the packaging of toys as much as I loved
Yeah.
the toys.
Hmm.
And, I don't know if that's weird, but I enjoyed it. And I think the ease of access to not only music, but communication has cheapened it to such a degree, like you're
Hmm.
saying, that what you just throw something out there because it's literally just, um, man, it's just so
Yeah.
hollow and
Well,
it's
and
so
like the
fast.
intention is to hit, like to get it in front of more people. But then what we're getting is a sea of half minded, half cared for, half intentional kind of crap just because, you want to gain more of an audience. And it's times that by 100 million. And then everything's completely diluted and unshakable. And I mean, I'm not even talking for myself. Like I said, I took a lot of my albums off Spotify years ago. Um, I know I'm not reaching any new people. Even if I could put my music in front of everyone at once, I'd still probably turn a few around. So it's not like if they just give me a chance kind of a thing. It's like I just have never been interested in the flippant kind of interaction with streaming and digital distribution and um,
Yeah.
and all of that. Um,
It's
yeah, I don't know.
it's kind of
And I
just
think,
created a plague of flakes. I don't know if you've noticed this, but people are so fucking flaky, man. Like
yeah,
just
I think that's a big part of it. Is I remember back in the day, like back in the day, meaning like Facebook invites, right? I remember counting that as like oh, we got a good show. We got, there's a ton of people who accepted Facebook invites because they felt like, oh, my name's attached to accepting. I can't back out of it. How funny is that now? Now everyone will
yeah,
just say like, yeah, I'm coming and just never show up. Like there is absolutely no accountability for any of
yeah,
that. Um,
yeah.
but it's so funny that like, yeah, we used to calculate Facebook invites for like foreshadowing what an audience would be like for a night, and that sweet spot of like 2010 or 11 or something. I don't even know, but
Yeah, or like your top 8 on MySpace. Like, who were your best friends,
yeah,
dog?
yeah, 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 yeah. But
I'm
and
that
like
old.
that's the thing. There was kind of a nexus point between. I do kind of maybe it's just because of what I was reared in, but that there was a punk zine kind of ethos of early, like I wouldn't say, well, I guess technically it's early internet, but maybe like early 2000s internet, with GeoCities and Angel Fire, or like making your band websites. That was like our like flyer house and blah blah blah, where we could post
Yeah,
things, and it was like your little digital like literal domain that you built an address on. Wow, I'm just getting it. No, but it really was. It was exciting to like not pay attention in journalism class because I'd be working too hard on my HTML to figure out this cool picture I wanted on my band, GeoCities page. Like because you still struggle bust with it. There was still like some sweat equity involved in creating these things and like
hmm,
having fun with it and toying with it. And yeah, I'm sure another breeze will come and things will be exciting for at least for me again in a high tech way, but as somebody who by day works in a lot of the passions that I have, the tech version of it and works with recent tech, like it just, yeah, I mean, we kind of hit a plateau like 20 years ago of that kind of communion, and we've just been refined culture ever since, and now it's just AI, you know?
Yeah.
And
Or-
that's the thing. It's like, cool. Well, I mean, at least I'm aware of where we're at truly, what works for me in the communion between digital and analog, and that third mind or the third scene, of both of those things. And I still get excited about the process of either and combining those and everything. But when it comes to social media, like I kind of have to just bow out. I'm a nice place to visit. You don't need to hear from me all the time. I will disappoint
Mhm.
you. Like,
I don't know about that, but yeah, I do think that people having to seek things out
mm-hmm,
is a lost skill that these damn kids these days don't really. You can't expect them to know it either because it was all given to them. But I remember LimeWire. I remember stealing
oh yeah,
music because I was a little bastard who was like couldn't afford CDs. So I'm like, I want
mm-hmm,
this Human Remains album, and I like really weird jazzy death metal, so I want this thing. So I spent 3 hours instead of mowing a lawn to buy the CD
mm-hmm.
on LimeWire trying to fucking get this thing, and then you buy
Trying
it,
to
and it's a
keep your
Metallica.
computer on. Yeah,
Yeah, and then you downloaded it, and it's
download.
some dude's album. It's some pseudo Keats album, and you're
So
like, fuck, dude.
what used to get me famously, because there was a guy that was uploading like Sonic Youth and Melvin's stuff to LimeWire, but it would
Yeah,
actually be anal cunt.
nice. I
And
know about
I
that.
was like, "Tricks on you! I kind of like this."
Right. Yeah.
I mean, anal cunt is anal cunt, but I could see they were kind of like trying to troll or whatever. But
Yeah.
for
There's
a
so
kid,
much
it
of
was like,
that.
"Oh, what's this? This is so dark and scary."
Yeah. Or it's like, fuck, I just wasted 3 hours on this thing. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
god.
Yeah.
And then this now is just streaming, but I do think the seeking out is part of the process, and
Yeah.
I don't think that
And
like
like
coming.
I want to say too, because these are rituals that we were reared in. I'm sure it'd be harder to kind of relish and relegate these rituals of, uh like in my case, I would, steal a CD from the local pawn shop, and then if I liked the CD, I would read the liner notes, and if I would go steal CDs of the bands they thanked in those liner notes. You know what I
Oh
mean?
god.
And but that was a very specific ritual to me, and in a large way to kind of our generation of how we discovered things and found things. And I don't blame the kids who were that didn't have those rituals or weren't reared in that kind of
Right.
style of kind of long form tracking, you know like, and it's
Yeah.
tracking. It's like animal tracking, finding stuff when you're a kid in bumfuck nowhere, whether it's the desert or the Midwest. Like, it's animal tracking. You got to have whiskers and a second scent to like find the things that are gonna like inspire
Mhm.
you,
Yeah.
and
I mean, hearing about things
that's
from magazines and then
yeah.
ordering the CD because like you saw it in a magazine. I remember doing that shit. I remember going to Borders and finding the Necronomicon and being like, "Oh, this is kind of dark and spooky. Let me buy this for $7."
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. Borders, wow, yeah.
Yeah, that's how old I am.
No, yeah, I remember reading a lot of comic books at the Borders near my college when I was homeless. I would just hang out there all day and read comic books and whatever. Like, yeah, they had like the disinfo books, I remember, but their
They always
occult
had
section
cafes too.
wasn't great. Um, but yeah, well, man, this was awesome. I appreciated you translating my long-winded kind of diatribes going through that somatic aeon. And I'm glad we did this so that I now know for like the video or for a quicker kind of, hey, what are we doing? You know, to keep it pithy and to like what to mention, you know, like the submission stuff and all that. So I
Yeah.
appreciate it. But yeah, I am exhausted. It I got another long week this week too, and but yeah, this was fantastic, man. And thank you for the forecast.
Sure.
That's gonna be my bullet points of the coming months of what to blame if shit goes awry. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes. Shift
Wasn't
the
my
blame, Keith.
fault. Yeah.
Right.
What do you
Well,
mean?
this has been good, and I'd like to do more calendar events like this, whether it's solstices or whatever. I think if we could make them smaller, maybe shorter, or plan out one big long one like you did the last Equinox that was like 3 or 4 hours long, and really get some people ahead of time that can commit to coming on. I think that would be excellent as well.
Yeah, I think, and those are kind of specific for the spring ones. That's what we've done every year for the spring
Okay.
HAUNTQUINOX. I think for this first one, for this autumnal one, I think it's, to me, my New Year starts in autumn. Like Halloween's always been specifically a kind of tide turning kind of barometer, of change, and so
Mm.
having a kind of focused HAUNTQUINOX, it's less of the, you know, art share, kind of big celebration, and more of like, hey, we're about to buckle down into winter. This is what, you know, I'm doing to keep my heels warm by the fire, kind of a thing, you know.
Sure.
And here's like, yeah, here's the forecast, like kind of through that celestially. I think that's perfect. I think that's a perfect, you know, spectrum of the HAUNTQUINOX variety. Otherwise, too much of the spring one, especially after we just did the spring one, yeah, it would take too much out of me, I think.
Yeah, you were like saying you didn't even know if you were going to be able to do this, so it's kind of cool that you decided to do it anyway.
Yeah, I don't think I decided until about 20 minutes before it happened.
Nice.
No, but no, yeah, something kicked in last night. I knew it was important for us to get this situated. This was a big deal to kind of announce the tiers, but the back end and all the stuff that goes into this, and sitting on it. Like I know for me and myself, I'm really looking forward to getting my hands dirty and experimenting with all this really, beautiful talismanic media, and needed to kick it into gear. And a lot of that for me too was because I need to flush out some things. So having the plan solidified, I know what fat I can trim, moving forward, because yeah, my weeks have not been easy. And they probably won't be for the rest of fall, just due to the nature of what I do, for work. So,
Yeah.
um,
You look like
but
you've been
yeah,
through the ringer, my friend, and I hope that it it clears up. I know this is your busy season. I hope you're making all those sweet cashews and putting them away for the rest of the year,
yeah, yeah,
and
my
doing
tasty
what you have
nugs.
to do. Yeah, right, dude. And
Yeah,
if
no,
anybody still out there listening, Mary or Sam or Jenny, like, thank you for fucking hanging out, and it's been uh, it's been fun, man.
yeah, yeah, good, and yeah, thank you guys for listening, Mary, Jenny, Sam. I think we had uh, Allie, some
Oh,
folks
Ellie
on
too. Yeah.
Instagram. Thank you for checking in and listening. Sorry I didn't look over here if anybody commented. Um, Please check out patreon.com/pragmagic for
Yeah.
the new physical media that we will be shipping out. Uh, Cassette tapes to zines. I even printed out my manuscript in a binding thing. That this is, I think, the most immediate project for me, but we're getting real crazy with the cheese whiz when it comes to physical media and small press. So yeah, look out for all of that. I'm gonna end with the song sigil, Father Karras, that I just put out. Right when The Exorcist is ending. Which I just popped it in the VCR to play behind me, but that's, kind of who the song's about in a way, or I'm using him as a heteronym for some personal things. But I made some cool videomancy from my furthering experiments of kind of analog projection mapping and glitching and high 8 camcorders. So we'll end with that, as we are wont to do on HAUNTQUINOXes, is to showcase something new. So with that, stay tuned. We're both very excited about Dim Zoom, if you haven't heard that yet. All of those, all those links and everything, wethehallowed.org. I'm not sure if I need to direct you to any more places. You just go to one of those.
Just go, for the love of God. Just go, please.
I'll
just
be excited.
Get a cassette, get a newsletter, do something with your life.
Yeah, and as Sam Lamb here says, of course, haunt on. Thank you all.
Haunt on.
And biff that one too. Thank goodness for editing.
We're just doulas to our deaths to begin again. And it's down the stairs.